Hey, welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair, and welcome to Streaming Idiots, the show where I make an idiot out of myself, making all the mistakes that hopefully you won't have to, because you can learn from mine. Today's show is going to be it's going to be all about making mistakes and learning from them, but we've got some really cool stuff that I think you're going to enjoy. Um, I'm going to tell you about today. We're streaming from our laptop again. It's the Asus ROG, that gamer's laptop, and so I'll go into some detail about that. We hopefully, it sounds to me like in the testing this morning, fixed the audio problems that we had last week, and I'll show you how we did that. That's going to be fun. We're going to take a look at the inside of our prototype Thunderbolt capture box, and James has provided this really cool stinger that we're going to show you how to use. And we'll talk a little bit about our PTZ cam, and then also about how we're doing multi-streaming today. God, that's a lot to cram in to just 5 minutes. No, just teasing. So, the idea is, but the premise behind this show is that one guy with one PC correctly configured, correctly built and configured, can really do a good broadcast. Oh, let me pop up while I'm thinking about it. Let me pop up this little CPU meter. This is the laptop that we're using today. Wanted to have this up here so you could take a look. We are streaming and recording, and we're using 73%. It's a 2.5 gigahertz processor, but currently it's cranking out about 3.27, which is pretty good. It's a little noisy, and so we'll talk about what we did to fix that too in just a second. And I'm getting a notice here in the chat room that the chat is broken today. So my apologies to all those folks that I insulted earlier. Oh my goodness, sorry about that. Anyway, the CPU is recording. Today we're recording 720. We couldn't quite stretch to 1080. I wasn't confident enough that we could do that at a high CPU rate. But we are streaming 2 streams in vMix today. One of them is going to a flash server in Washington, D.C. that's set up for Decast. And the other is going to an HTML5 server out in Kansas City, also set up by Decast. But it's almost like it was 2 different CDNs because it's 2 different locations. The flash feed is getting 720p, and the HTML5 feed is getting 180p. You say, why 180? Well, I'm figuring folks that want to watch us on the phone, if they're watching us and using their bandwidth, their data plan, they don't want to burn it up with 720 picture. I'm not that good looking. No comments there. But so you can watch on your phone, and the other thing is a flash stream won't work on most phones. It might work on a Windows phone, but it doesn't work on my Android and doesn't work on my wife's iPhone. But the HTML5 feed does, and it looks pretty good. We did make a change on the Decast embed code this week for actually for both the streams. But on the phone stream, the 180p stream, I think now you can resize it and make it full screen. And that the resize box had been there before, but it didn't work. And I think Decast changed their coding somehow, so I think that works. So if you're watching this on the phone, would love to get some feedback on how that looks. I was playing around with it last night, and I thought it looked pretty good. Of course, 720 looks even better, but if you're not on Wi-Fi and you're burning data, you don't want to do that. My son watched a full football game Saturday on using his data plan, and my wife got the email to say, you're 10 days into your month and you've used 90% of your data for the month. She went through the roof. Anyway, don't tell her I said that. Let's take a quick look. What I want to show you is, and I'm going to switch to to this screen for just a second. Doesn't make any sense, but let me pop up a window because I'm going to have a window pop up right in its place. There you go. This is the stream settings. And when you're setting up for streaming, this is where you would set up. And unfortunately, since we're already streaming right now, I can't show you all the depth of this. And if I'd thought about it, I would have pre-recorded something, but I didn't have time. But you see the little green box there. That represents CDN number 1. And you can see CDN number 1 is to cast. And if you scroll down a little bit under the login and update channels gray block, you can see that I'm streaming to the channel That VidBlaster Guy, which is what we used to do it when we had 2 shows, so we just kept the same stream. If I click number 2, it would still say to cast, but under the channel, it would say That VidBlaster Guy with iOS, which is the HTML5 feed. And it took me the longest time to figure out how to do this. I mean, it was so bloomin' simple. It was like falling off a log. And what I needed to do, and I couldn't figure it out. I think you can see my cursor here. There's a little gearbox right here. And when you click it, and I can click it now, but it won't open. When you click it, it allows you to set different bit rates. It has 3 different choices. Well, I just assumed it was 3 different choices for each one of the CDNs. So if I could send to CDN number 1 to cast, I could send it 3 different streams, a high, a medium, and a low. And I couldn't, I even put in I feel so silly now. I put in a feature request with vMix to say, hey, can we do multiple destinations at multiple bit rates? And they said, yeah, it's already there. And I said, no, it's not. I can't figure it out. And I went back and forth, and finally some beautiful person just said, go to this page and do this and this and this, and this is how it is. And sometimes I know I'm gonna save this. We'll go back here. Sometimes I know in troubleshooting and tech support, sometimes the simplest things trip us up. And my human mind, and if yours is anything like mine, I pity you, but nevertheless, if yours is like mine, I think it's human nature sometimes to assume that the problem is the worst instead of looking for the simplest solution first. And you've heard me say that before, and it's not a new idea with me. I stole it from somebody. Everything I've gotten, I've stolen from somebody else. Sometimes I steal them, 2 of them, and put them together, so maybe it's a unique creation. But in this case, look for the simple stuff first. So that's the web streaming. So if you want to stream to more than one location, more than one CDN at a different bit rate, or even the same bit rate for that matter, you can do that in vMix, and it definitely is pretty lightweight in use. Last week we were using this laptop and vMix to do one stream, the 720 stream, and we were using VidBlaster to record. This week we're an all vMix show. We've got 2 streams on this laptop, and we're recording 720. So it'll be interesting to see how the recording looks. The test recordings I did earlier looked really good. And you can see right now we're at 74, 75, 73%, something like that. And the CPU is in turbo mode, obviously at 3.27. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that as time goes on. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about the issue that we had last week, and if you've got audio issues, those are tough to. At least they've always been tough for me to troubleshoot. The idea of audio is that it's just a giant logic puzzle. It's just a bunch of gates, and sound moves through one gate, through another gate, through another gate. If your gates are lined up right, then you get good audio. Sometimes, though, when you open a gate, you get other things in there besides the audio you want. Like you get crowd noise, or you get fan noise, or sometimes you may have a ground loop hum that'll just be a persistent in the background. That tells you you've got a grounding problem. In my case, last week I had some sort of mechanical noise that I think was probably a ground loop. And what I found was I had a power wire that was running parallel to several speaker wires, which is a no-no. You generally cross them like this. You're not going to run them side by side. So I changed that, and then I changed a few other things, and that seemed to have taken care of the the uh, the mechanical hum. But I still have a fan noise in the background because I'm using this laptop, and the laptop is got a big old huncher fan in it because it's a gaming laptop. And the idea with the gaming laptop is that I just refreshed my chat and I see these guys making all sorts of mean, nasty things about me. Oh my goodness. Somebody please answer guest 594. There is a broadcast today. Um, yeah, this is the real show. Sorry. This is as good as it gets right here. This is as good as it gets. Anyway, back to audio. Getting distracted by these guys in chat. Um, the reason for the early show today is I've got to go out of town. I'm picking my mother up at the airport in a different city, so I'm kind of on a timeline. And she's flying from Virginia to Florida. Uh, it's a real treat for an 80-year-old. It's been interesting to set up, but that's a story for a different day. Audio. So anyway, let me show you what I did with audio. I was really excited about this because I think you're going to love it and you're going to find uses for it too. How can we set it up? Oh, we've got a capture that we're going to use. Let's take a look. This is a desktop capture on my second monitor where I have unpinned the audio mixer from vMix, and I've just slid it over to the other monitor. And you can see that I've got lots of different things going on there. Don't pay any attention to any of them except this one right here where it says audio microphone. In theory, I can pull this down. All my audio, yep, it worked. All my audio disappeared when I did that. I can also click this little button right here to turn off my audio. You could see I was speaking because the volume meter was working, but notice how it's a slightly different color. That tells you that that's not live audio, but that audio is present. What I want to show you is the gear icon right here. Configure audio settings such as gate and compression. Aha! Okay, so I'm going to pop that box up and then let me pull it down where you can see it better. There we go. And we've got lots of different things we can do. Why is the device volume only at 54? That's interesting. We're not going to change that right now, but we can change the EQ. We can change the compression. But what I played with was the noise gate, and the noise gate I was able to dial in, tune in the noise gate in order to dial out some of the background noise. So let me show you what this sounds like without the gate in. So we're going to take the threshold and we're just going to reset it and close it. I don't know if it activated when I closed or activated when I reset it, but can you tell the difference? Boy, in the test recordings, I certainly could. And you hear that kind of hum in the background. That's the fan from the laptop. And that may have been the source of much or all of the audio issues that we had last week. So let's bring that threshold back to 72. And we've enabled that gate. And so if I do it more than 72, what I've found out is that I end up with sort of muffled audio. In fact, let me show you that. Let's go ahead and bring that back in again. We'll do noise gate. If we go here, still be kind of that weird. If I go too low, you can see that you've got me, but you've also got all that background sound again. So let's dial it in at that precise number that happens to work, which is 72. There we go. 72. And we've gotten rid of most of, not all. I mean, you can tell there's still a little bit there. When I talk, you can hear kind of in the background while there's audio moving from my mic, it's not taking out the background. But when I pause is when the gate closes. So that's pretty cool. And that's built right into vMix. No extra charge. Yeah. And for my purposes, it's perfect. Now, if you're in a studio environment where you're doing really high-end work, yeah, you may want a separate piece of hardware to take care of that. But I'm too cheap for that. Too cheap for that. Let's change gears. And I want to talk a little bit about stingers. If you're doing sports, stingers are great as kind of an intro, 1 second intro, 1 second outro to instant replay. And I had a friend, Phil, who made me a stinger. And let's see if I can show you that this is what the stinger looks like. Is that just not perfect? Oh, I was playing that in pre-show, but actually before the pre-show, along with the theme music, and somehow they got synced up just perfectly, and it just tickled me. Anyway, so we're going to use that as a stinger to move between shots. So I'm going to set up this shot. This is the second shot. This is the first shot, and I'm going to use the stinger button, and I'll show you how I did this in a minute. And the stinger is going to bring that little guy on there. He's going to dance. It's going to switch cameras. And all of that happens just by clicking the stinger button. So let's go show you. This is probably something that I should have recorded in advance. But you can see, you can see over here in the left side, that's my preview. In the right is the program. That's what you're seeing kind of going off into Affinity. And then right here is the stinger button. I'm not going to click it. But down here is the overlay button. And this is where you set up the stinger. And so you would go to, you've got 4 overlay channels and 2 stinger channels. So stinger number 1 would be full screen. It would be a cut. The duration, the length of that whole stinger is what is that, like a second and a quarter. 2,475 milliseconds, and I've got it where it's going to switch at 1. So no, I'm sorry, that's 2.5 seconds. So this one is going to switch right at a second, and it is Tom 1,000,001, whatever that is, PNG, and we'll come back to that in just a minute. And so that's the setup. And so when I click the stinger button, and of course you're going to lose the screenshot, but you get the dancing guy, and then we switch to the laptop shot. I click the stinger button, and we go right back. And all I'm doing is clicking the transition button here in the middle that I've clicked the drop down, and I've set to stinger. So I had to do that, and then I had to go down here to overlay and set up a stinger. But in order for that to work, there's a helper piece of software that comes with vMix. Let's see if we can bring it up for you guys on this screen. vMix. video tools. There it is. And you can see it's just a little small window that pops up and allows us to do two different things. I suspect they'll increase this as time goes on. We can index MOV and MP4 recordings, and that indexes them in a format suitable for editing. Or we can create an image sequence, which is what the PNG uses. I mean, what the Stinger uses. And so I can give it a source file, and I can go find on my desktop or wherever I put the files, an AV file or AVI file or an MP4 file or something like that. And then I can convert it into whatever output file I give it, and it will convert it to a series of images. And let me show you how that series of images works. And you can see there are all the little images, and there's 1 through 76 of them. So I guess it's at 30 frames a second, that's going to be almost exactly two and a half seconds worth. And so I converted it. You can set up a Stinger with a video file, but it operates so much more smoothly if you set it up with a range. And yeah, and in fact, you can see right here that we're at frame number 1 of 76. So we can make that guy dance, and he'll dance for 76. Oop, we got him on a loop, so better stop him and restart him. Okay, so we can use a Stinger to introduce a Stinger. I don't think so, but we can use a Stinger to introduce something else like this. There you go. So we can go Stinger back. So that's a Stinger shot. Boy, you're just getting all sorts of good stuff today. Let's see. Oh, you know what? That just sort of leads us right into this next shot. So let's Stinger right into it. One of the things that's nice with a Stinger is if you've got an alpha channel and you have, in sports or something like that, you have a moving image that comes, you've seen them, where the whatever it is, the logo or the football comes on the screen, fills the whole screen and then wipes out. And the instant where it filled the whole screen is the instant where it changed from preview to program. And so Stingers are great for that. 2 seconds is probably too long for a sports Stinger. I mean, if you watch ESPN or ABC or some of those other sports shows, you'll see the Stinger lasts, maybe a second. And so that's having the ability to specify the length of the Stinger, and then the point during the Stinger where you make the transition from shot A to shot B. Excuse me. That will be that's the way to set it up properly, I think. But that's just me. Let's see. Let me check these guys in chat, make sure they're behaving. I don't know that my chat's working today. Well, maybe it is. Okay. This shot, let's see if we can go back to another shot. There we go. This is the studio. This is what it looks like. Actually, it's pretty clean today. Excuse me. Goodness gracious, sorry about that. The control here is for the PTZ cam that I have here in the studio. It's manufactured by a company called PTZ Optics, and we actually have them in our store, which I'm really excited about. And they've been a really good seller. This is a very popular cam compared to, the brand name Sony's and Panasonic's. Feature for feature, I think it's very, very close. And then price-wise, it's 30% less, 40% less, something like that. This particular unit that we're using right this minute, I've got connected to my capture card that I'm going to show you in just a minute via HDMI, but it also has SDI output and IP, internet output. plus it can be controlled over the internet as well as Wi-Fi, plus it can be controlled by a separate controller, you know, the kind with the joystick. Um, and so it's got all sorts of options to it. There's another version of this same cam that instead of having SDI, it has USB 3. So if you prefer USB 3, you can get that. There's also, this is the 12x version, and so it's going to zoom, you know, what is it about? Oh, it's about 8 or 10 feet away. So that's a pretty interesting zoom. The 20x, if you're doing a church or an event hall, something like that, the 20x zoom would probably be what you wanted. But they're selling well. If you would like one or more than one, let me know. We'll make a deal on a bundle too. If you can bundle some cameras together with a capture card or something like that, or some vMix even, we can make you a deal on that. Oh yeah, this is the point in the show where I say, by the way, I'm an authorized reseller for vMix and VidBlaster and PTZ optics and Magewell and a bunch of other stuff, and you can go to our store and find out more about it. The idea with the store was, you know, people all the time are asking me, Tom, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Well, you know, and then I'd have to send them to somebody else to go get it, and they would have, you know, who knows what kind of support. And I just, you know, maybe I'm nuts, but when I have folks that are relying on me, I want them to rely on me all the way through from start to finish. So I thought, well, let's just go ahead and put the products in the store, make a few bucks on the side, and be able to offer folks kind of I was going to say cradle to grave, but that's not really the best way to put it, I don't think. But to offer the full scope of support experiences from the product selection at the very beginning, all the way to the acquisition, and then to the installation, and then the use. The training and the use. I've got a good client that I'm working with that is going to put, I think, 5 or 6 vMix Pro licenses in. And so I've made a deal with him and said, look, you know, I'll train your people on doing it. You don't feel like you have to support them, especially in the startup role. And I'll train you at the same time so that as they learn it, you learn it, and you can support them long term, but I can get you going. And I'll even support them long term too. So that's the deal I would make with you. If you want any product, I will support you indefinitely. Or like I say, it's lifetime support, yours or mine, whichever comes first. Let's see. We've got time. We don't have much time, but we can make all the time we want. Let's look at, I'm so excited about this. Let me switch to a different shot here. I am so excited about this little prototype that we are making here in the studio. It is a Thunderbolt box with PCIe card in it that converts Thunderbolt to PCIe, and then that's the Magewell Pro Capture, the new second generation series of Magewells, the Pro Capture Quad HDMI. So as you can see in the very bottom there, we've got 4 HDMI cables plugged in because we've got 4 cameras today. Just to the right of the 4 cameras is, well, we got this cable that's in the way right there. But you can see the Thunderbolt connector, and then to the right of that is power connector. In the top right-hand corner is a fan, which we actually got turned off for the moment because we've got the box open, and so it wasn't needed. And it's pretty cool. And we are able to run 4, count them, 4 cameras. Let's see, where's that's camera 2. Let's start at the beginning. Here we go. This is camera 1. And this is camera 2. And this is camera 3. And this is camera 4. And all 4 cams are coming into the box at 1080p and are coming into this vMix laptop jobby at 1080p. via this teeny weeny little wire right here. Don't ask me how they do it. I think it has something to do with speed. And so the point was to prove that a laptop like this is a Asus ROC, Republic of Gamers. Oh golly, I'll have to put the model number, laptop model number, into the show notes, because I get it confused with the specs on the video card. And as you can see here, this is what we're doing right now. We're at 71, 67, 89. You know, it kind of jumps around in terms of percentage. It's a 2.5 gigahertz processor. It's flat out turboing right now at 3.27. And it's been going, you can see it's been going for 2 hours and 10 minutes. What else can it tell you there? You can just basically see how everything is flowing. Let's go back to that shot. So we'll be bringing this to market shortly. The idea, I think, is that we'll bundle, you know, the box and the Magewell card together, and then we'll also bundle it with some vMix software. My hope was that we would be able to have a system that could run instant replay with 4 cameras, but I don't think we're going to be able to do that. Here we're recording, although we are streaming to 2 different locations. We're streaming 720 and 180 and recording 720, but I don't think we've got enough overhead left. And I don't think we have enough disk access to do instant replay here. I haven't tested it yet, but that would be my guess. So, but vMix has 2 instant replays. They've got the instant replay that's available in the 4K version for 1 camera and the Pro version for 4 cameras. And then there's also another instant replay that I need to explore a little more that's available in all the vMix versions, editions rather. And we'll have to see how intensive that is with disk access and CPU, all that other kind of stuff. So that I think that pretty well covers it. Let me give you another shot of the little box, and I'll have some pricing on this on the website soon. If you're interested in a pre-production version of this, and maybe helping me with some testing, I can make you a deal. So let me know, and we will work that out. Yeah, we'll work out something. Well, we are out of time. Oh man, we've gone overtime. I apologize. Trying to keep it to 30 minutes so that you can, catch this while you're eating lunch or something like that, or late afternoon snack. Michael, didn't see you slip in. Welcome to the show. 594, welcome to the show. And next week we will be back on at our regular time, which will be 3 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock in London, 5 a.m. Thursday in Australia, but Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Michael says, it's a great show. Got to go. Lunch is over. Yep, I understand. We might make this a lunch show in the future. We'll just have to see. Would appreciate some feedback on that too. That would be interesting. We could do a lunch show at noon Eastern, and then do another show at noon Pacific. I don't know that we could do a lunch show for those of you in Australia or London, but we could talk about it. Anyway, it was a treat being with you today. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube and you made it this far, thank you. Please subscribe. That way you'll get a note whenever we post a new show, and we do it at least one a week. It's a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you come with us live in chat on show days. It's a whole lot more. Yeah, somebody says late breakfast on the West Coast. That's 483. Thank you. That's a great suggestion. Yeah, have brunch with us. We'll see. And after the first of the year, something special is going to happen the first of the year. So we'll see how that one works out. But it's been my treat to be with you. I'm Tom Sinclair. This has been Streaming Idiots. If you need some more information about us or want to contact me, go to our website, easternshorebroadcasting.com. There's a contact form there. There's a store there. I'll answer your questions. You can buy stuff, whatever makes you happy. I'm happy to help. So thanks for tuning in. Hold on, I got to get the show closing stuff all set back up because sometimes I get it all screwed up. There we go. And one of these days I'll be able to, what I need to do, vMix has got these great shortcuts and all sorts of other triggers and things like that. I just need to stop changing everything with my system so I can hit one button and it'll go straight to the closing the way it's supposed to. But one day we'll get there. Thanks for watching. Tune in next week. We'll see you then. Oh, the show is so